Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope all's well. I just wanted to drop a quick few points on the video, or actually the movie, and it's When They See Us. It's a Netflix special. I'm sure a lot of people have been talking about it. Quick recap of that. It's not going. I don't want to say too much because I wanted people to watch it, to get their own opinion and get their own viewpoint for it. But it's basically filmed. Shout out to the director. I don't want to butcher her name. I think it's Ava DuVernay. I'm not sure if it's correctly said. I apologize in advance, but she did a very good job on the film, and it touched me to the point where I did backstory research on the case and read the interviews. There's a couple of interviews that I'm going to post on my page. The Breakfast Club did an interview with the director, and the actual interview of Vlad TV on all two of the individuals. I think Raymond Santana and Yusuf Hassim. They spoke on the events that took place, and it's very powerful. And I think the interviews are even well said more than the film itself, because they actually told the story in more depth, not only just what happened, but the outcome and how they're doing now. It's very powerful, man. So just a couple takeaways. One of the things that I saw in the beginning of the film, again, what happened at the very beginning of events is being guilty by association. That is something that's common a lot, especially with black males. And again, people's going to think it's about black, but it's just current. This is what's happening to us. And I'll try not to make the page one race, but it's just what's happening. This is what happened, and end of the day, whether we want to admit it or not, we're the target group of police brutality. We're the target group of criminal injustice, social injustice. And when I studied criminology, and when I was at my first early years of college, criminology is a lot of terms, a lot of definitions. So when you define criminal, it's already coined to African Americans. Whether the criminologists, the researchers, those law enforcement officials, 30 plus years been in the game, they had experiences, whether they was in correctional systems, whether it was law, judge, whether they dealt with actual police work. Their experiences determine what's going on in criminology. They study the behavior. And they coin African Americans, or they coin criminal behavior with that. So it kind of contributes to the guilty by association, because they dealt with it so much that they know, okay, we see an African American male at the vicinity of crime, they automatically assume that they did it. They automatically make assumptions, that they committed the crime instead of actually doing the legwork. It's just that term where black is bad and white is good. White woman gets raped, black man's there, it's automatic, equal guilty. And that's just the truth, and it changed my outlook on law enforcement. I've done it a little bit, studied it, and it's just like, it's filled with despair. I feel like a lot of despair, a lot of dishope for law enforcement and the police, because of just seeing this stuff back in 1989, and it is even current today still. And I don't know what to say about it. It's a really tough film to watch. Rape in itself is heinous. So I not so much upset about who was raped. It was more or less, they didn't take the leg work. They didn't take the time to investigate it. It was the other way around. White man rapes a black woman, where they took much time and effort to the director. I don't want to butcher her name, Ava DuVernay, I think that's how you say her name. I'm sorry if I butchered it, but she spoke on the media and how the media was a big perpetrator in hyping up the African American males, the young boys at the time, on saying that they were wilding, a term wilding, so they automatically associated with animals, and that's what criminology, it defines terms. So these different terms that's been spoken, they associated with animals. You thought Mr. Wise and Mr. Santana and Mr. all the different guys that was involved, they're animals. The media painted them as such. And when the media paints as such, it intensifies the views. Biggest thing, knowing your rights, and that's something I've been talking about video after video. I've been posting on the page. That's why I do this. That's why I advocate. That's why I put this stuff on my webpage. That's why I make these videos, to teach people to know their rights. That is just so important. A lot of stuff can be prevented if you know your rights. And also for the kids to know their rights. Even the kids got to know their rights now, because as you can tell, they're targeting the youth, and I spoke on it very first video. I said it. They're targeting the youth. The youth have to know, because they can get the youth and lock them down early. That eliminates the problem. So, I had a very similar situation happen to me, where I was in high school. I was about 14, 15 at the time. I was dating a girl. I was in 10th grade, and she, in so many words, assaulted the police officer, the school resource officer, not knowing my rights, because I didn't know them back then. I, witnessed something that happened, and they was coming after me for the statement. They was pressuring me, saying, "I'm going to take you as accessory to the crime. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this." He was making threats, big ones. And at first, I wasn't going to submit nothing. I wasn't submit no statement. I'm just going to walk it off. I hid from the guy for a couple of days. I just went to class. I stayed off the radar as much as I could, till it hit the teachers with it. And the teachers are saying, "Hey, you got to go see this guy, see this officer, and you're going to submit your statement." Pressure, 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 pressure. Very similar to what is in this film. Pressure. It wasn't an extent of getting, to what they went through in the interrogation room, but it was pressure. It was like, "I'm going to take you to jail. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take you down to juvie. I'm going to call your parents. I'm going to do this." And it got to the point where I submitted that statement. I didn't do what I said I would do today. If I knew what I knew today, I wouldn't have said anything. But I submitted that statement, and then when I submitted that statement, that person ended up getting in trouble, and then now the snitch, and we talk about no snitches. There's always a risk in everything. So I made that decision, I made that risk, and it could have cost me my life, because that person, could have lost my life, because they got put a knife on it. But end of the day, pressure. Oh, you're going to make the statement. You're going to say this. You're going to tell exactly what you seen, even if you didn't see it. What he thought I saw everything. I didn't see everything. So he tried to say, "Oh, you're going to say exactly what you're going to tell me exactly what you said, what you seen happen, and we're going to submit a statement." And I'm going to do this. I'm going to take you down. I'm going to put you as accessory. I'm going to lock you up and call your parents, take you to juvie, and this and that and the other. And I was scared. I ain't going to lie. I was scared, because I did not want to go down there. I didn't want to deal with that. So it is a personal experience of my own that will also hit home with this film, is that I was, the police, they can have fear tactics. They can be scared. One of the things that I've learned when I was in the academy is to not, saying the same tactics. You learn them. You know what I'm saying? So, one of the things with the parents, teaching the kids the laws, teaching them, hey, with the police officers, you don't speak unless you have a lawyer present. Have you're a minor, you need to have your parent present, your guardian present. Someone that knows the law say, "Hey, we're not going to speak on none of this until we have a lawyer present." That's one of the things in the film that was just the very beginning sets for the stages, is they're speaking about a lawyer present. Their parents were in there, their guardians in there. And, it hits the black kids back more so, because their parents, they didn't have a dad. One of the parents had their dad, and their dad was scared of the police just as much as the son was, and actually coerced the son to say the lie, which cost him his time in jail, because he didn't stand up for his son. So that there was very angry, and I probably gave something away in the film, but that really pissed me off, because this is very thing. This is what's destroying our communities, is because where instead of you fear, and I give benefit of the doubt. I won't say benefit of the doubt, but I will say that fear is a motivator. So being scared, saying the things that you're saying to get your son out of jail, you can't care about his safety. So I understand being fearful, but we got to know our rights to the point where, I'm scared, but you're not going to speak unless you have a lawyer present. I don't care what goes on. If you don't have no lawyer present, I'm not saying nothing. That's the purpose of having those Miranda rights. I'm going to have a lawyer presence. It's part of the amendments that I talked about. You have those rights, and you can't let fear be a motivator to say anything because you're scared. You have to stand what's right. So, I'm not going to delay the film, this video too long, but I had to say, man, we got to do better. Christ is end times, and speaking, I'm going to say my spiel about Christ, but you have to have that personal relationship with God. One of the key breakers of the case was one of the convicted killers actually found Christ, and he felt compassion for one of the Corey Wise, and he actually confessed to the crime, even though he was already doing life, even though he already knew in his heart, but he actually turned his life to Christ, and Christ, with the power of Christ, he confessed to the crimes that he did, so he can be compassionate on someone that did not commit the crime. So we got to get our relationship with God tight. We have to pray, and saying being black, young and being young and black is you got to be even more aware, more attentive, and more knowledgeable than ever. I said it before in my very first videos. They're coming from the youth. They're coming for the youth. They're coming for our kids. Kids' behavior is dictated by the parents teaching them our rights, teaching them how to act in school. Because this is where my situation took place. It was in a school resource officer. Knowing your laws, knowing what you need to do. Don't be ignorant, and teaching our kids how to respond. If you're guilty by association, because you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and even because you can't prevent everything. You can't prevent everything. You can't prevent what's going to happen with your kids, but you can teach them and arm them with the tools necessary. So if they get in a situation such as these boys have, they'll say, you know what, I did not do the crime. I'm not going to confess something I did not do, and I'm going to need a lawyer present or my parents present before I confess. And yeah, it gets worse where we beat on them and stuff. I mean, that's unacceptable, but nevertheless, I'm not confessing to nothing until I have a lawyer present. So watch the film. It's tough watch. I am grieved by all means, but this is the stuff that's going to continue to repeat. And this stuff it's on deaf ears, and I tell people all the time, people you gotta want to take notice, you gotta want to do this, you gotta want to study, you gotta want to make that effort to get empowered. All I can do is put the tools out. All I can do is just try to encourage and spread the word. But please spread this stuff around. Talk to your kids. Talk to your nephews. Talk to your nieces. Talk to all these young adults. If you're a teacher, if you can find time to talk about this stuff. If you are teaching ethics and you're teaching any type of civics or any type of stuff with dealing with Bill of Rights and amendments, talk to these young kids and tell them, hey, you got rights. Don't let this be another check in the block because you're trying to pass a class. Actually, take the time to talk to these youth. If you're a mentor, if you're a parent, talk to these youth and spread the word and let them know that, especially if you're African American. Hey, I'm sorry. Other races deal with it. I'm not talk to them as well. But when you're African American, you really got to talk to your kids. I'm talking to mine. I'm letting them know, hey, you got to know your rights. This is what you do. This is what you not do. You know what I'm saying? Doing the right thing. Integrity is a big thing. You know what I'm saying? And know your outlets. Know where you can go. The media is just going to use it good, but you can use it for bad. They use the media for everything else to demonize and enhance the bad. You can go to the media outlets and get your voice heard. You know what I'm saying? So watch the film, spread the word, pray, and continue to empower. Y'all be blessed.